Namaste everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and keeping the inner peace and harmony and the pure energy to accomplish your day-to-day duties and progress in life with a purpose. A very interesting topic that came up, in fact, from a Facebook posting that I have done the other day. The summary of that is the root cause of the problem is ego, and the solution for that is soul. So if you see, ego is equal to the problem and soul is equal to solution. Very interesting, the words soul and solution kind of harmonize with each other. But a lot of people really liked it, and I'm sure we can all relate to it, right? We know that ego is the problem. Like many times when we are angry or upset or frustrated or not happy with situations or people, later if you actually take time to reflect, it is the ego that was not happy, the mind that was not happy with a situation or with a person. So it is that identification with the mind which causes the frustration. And many times, in fact, in life we see that once those moments of anger or frustration or hurting go away, then we also tend to reflect back and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have even done that. Like maybe there was no need for me to get upset about it, right? So in the spur of the moment, we do get upset and anger and all, overreact. It is all because of that ego or mind. Well, we'll get to the clarity, what is ego actually. And then from there we will move on to soul. But the most important part of this discussion is, how do we drop that ego? Everyone can easily say, oh, drop your ego, man, it's the problem with your ego. Get the soul, find the soul, live in soul consciousness, elevate to soul. All these things are easier said than done, as one of the friends has actually posted on the Facebook. Absolutely true. So we will eventually get to how to actually do that. Is it actually possible to do that? That's the first question. And then how to do it. So first, let us understand what is ego. So there is this thing called I. We always keep saying, I am this, I am that, I am doing this, I can do that, I am going to do this, I am happy with this, I am not happy with this. So this I is pretty much there from the time we are born. Interestingly, as infants, we don't have the concept of I, but later, as we start to grow up, even with very little kids, right? You see them saying, this is mine. You take a little toy away from them, the first thing they say is mine. And they possess it, they own it, they want it, they think that it is theirs. So there is this identification called I from very early on in our lives. There is no doubt about it, right? But what is that I? What are we talking about when we say I? That we need to understand very clearly. So the I that we talk about as a little kid saying, this toy is mine, I want this, it is all the mind. When we are identifying ourselves with the mind is saying that somebody is taking your toy away, you're saying it's mine. Your mind doesn't want someone else to take the toy. You already possessed it, you already owned it, because you have put the energy from your mind and connected it with the toy, and that link is established, and so now your mind thinks that it owns it. So it doesn't want others to take it away. So if you take that example and apply from that little boy or a girl to our adult life, where we are in the work environment, in a family environment, we try to own, we try to protect ourselves, we try to secure ourselves into a state where we don't want to lose anything, right? A job, you own it, a wife, a daughter or a son, or an article, or your car, or anything, right? So we all get attached to that. So that attachment actually starts with the mind trying to own something. So that identification that you are mine is actually causing the ego consciousness to arise. And again, there are things like good ego and bad ego. We do keep hearing that, and we can also clarify that. So we know that there are three elements to our existence: mind, body, and the soul or the spirit. 99.99% of our time in our lives, we live in the mind and body consciousness, because you can see your body, it's easy, right? You can always say, this is me, because your body is what encapsulates your soul, and there is the mind, which is nothing but all your thought processes that are going up and down, emotions that are arising from those thoughts. So that mind also we associate with all those thoughts that keep coming and going, all the emotions. You relate to that and you say, I am feeling this way, I am feeling that way, I like this, I don't like this. So you are relating to the mind. So it is very easy to relate to mind and body. And soul, we don't know. Of course, we keep talking about, give big lectures and bhashans about it, and say soul consciousness, you have to find Atma, we are Atma, Atma is everywhere, Atma is what is there in you and me, soul, spirit, all these things are very, 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 very good to talk. I used to talk also like that in the past. But to really realize and identify with soul is not an easy job. But we have identified with mind and body because it's very easy, you see it. So that is what is ego. When we say ego, this is what we are talking about. But there are two egos, good ego and bad ego. Bad ego arises with identification from mind and body. That is false identification, that is not true identification. So we know that our true nature is not just mind and body, but there is something beyond that, and that is our true identification. So the root cause of ego consciousness is false identification with mind and body. So now we understand that very clearly. So the true identification or the true ego is the pure self, or the witnessing consciousness, or the pure consciousness, or the soul, or the spirit. That is true identification. So there are people, when they talk from that, when they say I, they are actually not implying mind and body. They are saying, they are speaking from that state of consciousness. And also when you speak from that state of consciousness, there is no anger, there is no frustration, there is no unhappiness. Because once you get into witnessing pure consciousness, or the soul, or the spirit, or Atma, you are connected to every person in the world same way. And that high state of consciousness of purity doesn't discriminate anyone, doesn't get upset with anything or anyone, because it doesn't have its any needs. Mind and body has needs. Mind needs to be satisfied, body needs to be satisfied, but soul doesn't need to be. It is ever present, it is ever full, it is ever satisfied, it is ever content. You see all these saints and sages, they are in that pure blissful state, only giving, loving, compassion, empathy, unconditional love. What we see when we go to the Master Sunita, that is what we experience. And they are able to give that pure energy, that pure consciousness, that state of bliss or nirvana or samadhi to everyone who comes to her. So how do we now drop the ego and find the soul? Very tricky. Very, very tricky, right? False ego is very easy. Mind and body you can see, but how do you drop them? Because that is what we live our day-to-day life with. Thoughts are coming and going, desires in the body are asking you to do things, wanting things. How do we suppress it? Do we ignore it? Do we drop it? When we say drop, it's not like dropping a ball. You can't hold it, you can't find it, you can experience it, but you don't know how to drop it. So how do we do this? So from my experiences in the past 8 years, I have fully realized that it is impossible to do that unless you have a pure divine master who first gives the experience of soul. Unless you experience the soul, there is no way for you to elevate to the soul consciousness. Mind and body you can see, you can experience. That is why we are relating to that. And of course, even though it is false, we all, 99.99% of us, we relate to that. But how do we even get to soul consciousness if we don't experience it? So that experience is very important. That soul experience, the soul consciousness is very important. Everybody says, yes, do yoga and meditation or any of those prayers and austere ways of practices will help you. But it's not that easy. If it was that easy to read something from a book and practice and adopt, everyone would have done it, everyone could have experienced it. But it is not that easy. That is why in the ancient times we had saints and sages and enlightened masters who have gone through the journey, who have seen the end of that journey, who have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. They can only give you that experience of soul. So in my personal experience, Master Sunita was able to give me that soul experience, that soul consciousness, that pure witnessing consciousness. I used to meditate even before going to her, but I have never understood what soul was. I'm like, okay, it's good for relaxing, few minutes, close your eyes, focus on your heart or breath, whatever. Anybody knows the technique, right? It's very simple. But can you actually do it? Can you actually sit in that state for a long time? Can you actually experience that? No, I haven't personally. But after I came to Master, in her presence when I was meditating, I realized this mind is completely disappeared, like it's complete stillness. It's as if, I always say this, the mind is shackled, like a police shackles the hands of a criminal. Exactly the same way, that mind is like put in shackles so that it doesn't move here and there. Complete stillness. And in that complete stillness, you start to see there is this other aspect which is silent, which is very powerful. Like when you experience it, it's like very energetic, full of energy. There is fullness in that state. And in that state of fullness, you start to see, wow, this is something that I've never experienced. This is something new. What is this experience? That is where my journey started. I started to inquire that experience. What is going on with the Master? Why is this happening when I meditate in her presence, and why is it not happening when I'm doing it on my own? So that led me to understand that yes, this experience is the soul experience, this is soul consciousness. And then when I started to read all the ancient scriptures of all the cultures, everyone is talking about the same thing, same experience. That soul experience is bliss, nirvana, zen, samadhi, whatever you call it, in whichever language, whichever culture, but the experience is the same across all these people and cultures. So once I started to experience, it became very easy for me to not identify with the mind and body. And it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like, oh, I'm going to drop my ego now and then I'm going to live in soul consciousness. No. Well, that realization itself is great. Like, first of all, to think that, oh, I don't want to live in ego consciousness is the first step. Second step is to actually experience the soul consciousness. That soul experience will make it pakka. It will make it solid. Then you will be like, oh, now I know this is the experience. So anytime there is a problem or in a day-to-day life, it's not easy to forget ego consciousness because we have lived in that consciousness and conditioned by it for so many years, who knows how many births. So it's not that easy. But in my 8 years of journey, I was able to take one step at a time. And then once I experienced that soul consciousness, it became very easy. Even though sometimes I get frustrated or angry or unhappy about situations, then immediately I have this experience of soul and, oh, wait a second, Suman, that is not soul consciousness, that is ego consciousness. So now, and my practices every day I practice yoga and meditation for 1 to 2 hours, morning, and then meditate in the evening, and purifying the mind in the presence of Masters laser like vibrations, cleansing it every day. That helps you to slowly shift from ego consciousness to soul consciousness. That shift is not that easy, but once it happens, it is incredible. You will never go back. You will, the qualities of, we talk about all these noble qualities very easily: forgiveness, patience, perseverance, letting go, compassion, deep empathy. All these things are not possible with ego consciousness, because ego will always say, I want this, I am not happy with this. It is all about identification with mind and body. But soul consciousness is a supreme consciousness. That is all inclusiveness. It will not differentiate, it will not disintegrate anything. It will unite everything. It will bring everyone under the same umbrella. You will start to see everyone the same. You won't identify. See, once you stop identifying with your mind and body, you will also stop identifying with others' mind and body. Right? So you will start to see their real self, which is the Atma, the soul consciousness. So when you see people's attitudes or anything, any other traits that you are not happy with, you will start to smile within and say, okay, that is all your mind and body's drama, but I know you are really who you are. I know your soul, I know yourself, pure self. You and me are the same. See, we all keep saying that. We all keep hearing from all these great saints and sages. Oh, we are all the same. The same self exists in you, me, and everyone. There is only one pure self. It is all great for Bhashan, but unless you experience it, there is no way in the world to transcend beyond the ego consciousness. So, my dear friends, hope I haven't bored you with lot of information, but to summarize, false ego is identifying with mind and body. True ego or I consciousness, identifying with soul consciousness is your true ego. But how do we get there? It is not possible to do it by yourself. You will need guidance of a realized soul like Master Sunita or any other sage or saint in your part of the world. Find a pure divine master. I always say that there are probably many other masters who are self-realized. You need to find them and you need to practice and go through the journey under them, because it's very tricky. It is very tricky. Whatever that Maya or delusion, it is not easy to just cross the hurdle of Maya. If it was so, everyone would have easily done it. And you need a pure master's laser-like vibrations. In fact, I also give this beautiful analogy. See, when you mix water and milk, can you see any difference? You cannot. It looks white. Once the water goes into milk, it becomes white. And it looks that way. That's it. There is no way you can separate it. Right? And ancient times they used to say Hamsa, that is swan, the white, beautiful swans. They say they used to live in, the heavenly abode. We don't know whether it exists or not, but the analogy is that a pure being like swan or Hamsa can separate water and milk. So if you now look at ancient pure masters like Sunita, they have the ability to separate that water and milk. What is water and milk? Milk is your pure soul consciousness. What is water? Your mind and body consciousness. So you can separate those two only with a pure divine master. Otherwise, it is impossible to do it. And that is why maybe all the ancient Indian wisdom used to call the sages and the highest of the highest realized masters as Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means, Parama means purest, Hamsa is swan, the purest of the pure swan, because they can easily separate the worldly material samsara from the real pure divine consciousness or the universal consciousness. So unless you practice with discipline, devotion under a pure divine master, not just someone who intellectualizes like me. I am intellectualizing this whole thing. Again, another bhashan, but only for simplicity I am trying to explain this. But unless you go beyond all these words and jargon and trickiness of intellectuality, you cannot realize the soul consciousness. And for that, there is no way than to practice under a realized saint or a sage or a soul or a divine master like Sunita Bapuji. So dears, it takes immense practice, it takes immense amount of patience and time, but all this, the beauty is all of this is very easy. They all come to you, the devotion, the patience, that willpower, that energy, all that comes from a highest of the highest saints like Master Sunita, who gives you that energy. When you are in that presence, that vibrations, that powerful divine pure vibrations will just engulf you, and they give you, like I'm talking all this, I don't even know where all this energy is coming from. This is morning at 7:30, I'm driving to work and I'm talking to you. Can you believe it? 99% of us, we know how it is, especially on a Friday morning. This is a Friday morning. Friday morning, we are all tired, exhausted. Oh my God, thank God it's Friday, TGIF. But look at me, I am like fully jubilant, joyful, full of energy, because I went to meditation on Wednesday with the Master. Those vibrations are making me talk like this. Those vibrations are vibing in me like amazingly. Each cell is vibrating with that pure divine energy, and because of that energy I am able to talk. So my dears, thank you very 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 much for taking your time to listen to this uh, reflections of self, and the difference between ego consciousness and the soul consciousness, and how to attain soul pure divine consciousness. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the whole universe be in pure divine bliss and harmony. Thank you very much.